Our homes are our shelter against the world, and now they're having to work harder than ever before.
我们建筑的标准的确是应该要再提高。你可能面对了很大的灾害的时候，加强所谓的韧性。
灾害来的话，我们有瞬间的暴雨，就瞬间2、3天又没有雨了，一脚又没有，那就是干旱。
地震是台湾的宿命，就是因为它的板块运动的活跃度。
In Taiwan, a new building project aims to set the standard for safe urban housing in the future. To do so, it's having to meet challenges that few other building complexes have to face.
从来住宅就没有人做到说有耐7级地震的，那个是非常艰难。
将耐震设计的标准跟核市场的安全停机震度0.4G 相当。
我们要盖房子，让客户住得安心，住得舒适。在地震的时候，他不会害怕；台风的时候，他不会紧张。
因为建筑物是100年的，最终它就是要做世界第一村。
One day, everyone in the world could live like this. That's why they call it the Global One. Taiwan is part of the Ring of Fire around the Pacific, a seismically active zone prone to earthquakes and volcanoes. It is also a typhoon basin, and storms sweep through on an annual basis. This is the world where the Global One, an ambitious high-rise project, is being constructed. So building a new residential complex is a challenge in itself, and the Global One is not just any residential complex. It will consist of 250 residential units and 54 floors of offices. It's going up as part of a new urban center for Taipei in a district called Nangang. It will center around several key landmarks. Nangang Station, a major rail hub 20 meters underground that serves as the main entry point for the whole area. The National Biotechnology Research Park is an innovation center built with sustainability in mind. The Taipei Music Center is the largest pop venue in Taiwan. It's also a hub for music and cultural activities designed to promote culture and bring performers, creatives, and the public together. And then there's the sprawling Nangang Exhibition Center, which brings in the crowds for trade shows that present Taiwan's technology and innovation to the world.
Dr. Brooks, what you give us before we move on?
In Nangang, every week brings something new. A city shaped by people, creativity, and the constant rhythm of events that never stops. Building a huge complex complete with multiple high-rise blocks is never going to be easy. The Global One's originator is determined that it will stand strong and endure. That's not going to be easy in Nangang. It means taking on some particularly risky geology.
3000年前，台北盆地都是一个湖泊，它很深，集水区流的时候，它也会带动泥沙堆积在这里面，它就容易变成土壤异化。
它是一个陷落的盆地，所以它有很多厚的沉积层。以厚的沉积层，它就很容易波在里面重复的震动，然后它就会越摇越大。
我们现在要利用这样的一个盆地的地质的时候，就会碰到一个问题：基础、边坡设计、施工。在盆地里面，基础最重要。
In a seismic event, energy released deep underground travels through the ground and is amplified in the soft sedimentary soil of the former lake. This is known as the jelly effect. If a building isn't anchored well, it will float on this soil as in a liquid, twisting, turning, maybe even collapsing.
这个过程当中就会产生一个比较长周期或是盆地的效应。
there's a groundbreaking ceremony. Even as it's happening, Nangong's special vulnerability to earthquakes is at the forefront of everyone's mind.
当初的南港是不行的，没有人会看好这里能做什么好的东西，市场不会接受。那在这一块土地，我已经工作了17年，从都市计划一直在变更，现在办到是一半办公，一半是住宅，才能有办法做到世界级的一个建筑。
The Global One is being built on the site of a former tire factory. It's being built to make a statement and to last for generations of Nangong residents. The ones carrying out the vision? The owners of the original tire factory.
我们将世界明珠定义住户的传家之宝，我们的建筑公务法、防震等级、环境保护，每一项都是台湾建筑史上最高标准。
Chairman Lin's vision is clear, but making it a reality is going to be particularly challenging. The biggest challenge is coping with the soft soil. The Global One has to be built both upwards and downwards at the same time, growing out of a set of ground-level slabs. The base is surrounded by a diaphragm wall 1 meter thick and 37 meters deep. The wall combines with a set of piles to form an artificial rock plate that anchors the buildings.
我们的连续壁的部分，加起来大概有2公里的这个长度，包括我们这个地中壁，所以这个量体是非常的大。
基桩的灌入深度跟连续壁的灌入深度，这个深度来讲的话，在我职涯中的话，它是最深最困难的一部分。
A set of 220 massive piles are to be sunk. The largest has a diameter of 2.8 meters and are driven to a maximum depth of 24 meters into natural bedrock.
また硬い岩盤を最大24メートル掘削する必要があります。硬い岩盤をこれほど深く掘削する大口径の杭工事は非常に稀です。
Before anything goes into the ground, the piles have to be tested. A total load of 3,400 tons is placed onto a sample pile to ensure it can withstand everything asked of it.
圧力はトータルで3400トンの荷重を20段階に分けてかけます。1回の加圧が15分です。具体的には18センチ以上沈下した場合、この場合は試験が失敗ということで停止ということになります。
At the heart of the piles are steel columns. These are surrounded by steel rebar cages that will reinforce the concrete when it goes in. The piles will be anchored to the bedrock to provide the support the Global One will need.
那台北市的岩盘呢，大概是平均40米，基桩打到地下24米，40再加24， 60几米的。那我们建筑本身差不多118米左右，就是上面118米，底下已经做了60几米，1/2以下是地下，那个是根本无法撼动的了。
深入圆盘是一个很艰困的东西，到圆盘以后，1个小时只有打30公分，那要多少时间才有办法把那张基桩完成？那在这个过程中，还要防止那个旁边泥沙跑到基桩里面，影响我们整支桩的品质。光基桩跟连续壁，我们整整施作了1年。为了确保每支基桩都能够做到完美无缺，我们宁可做慢，但是一定要把它做到确实做好。
地宫的部分真的是在台湾来讲罕见，它的投资下去的东西真的是罕见。一般在外面的一些的建设来讲，都是表面上的美观为主。那在本案呢，除了美观以外，还有加上它的内涵。
It's tough work, but it can't be avoided if the Global One is to be safe. A steel factory on the outskirts of Taipei. Hundreds of massive steel columns are being manufactured. They're going to form the skeleton of an extraordinary new development, the Global One in Nangong. The building complex is being designed to withstand anything that nature can throw at it. Today, the first steel beam above ground is being erected, a significant milestone for the entire team.
就是一个作品，那我想目标，标题都非常的明确。我想各位就是落在各位的身上跟手上。
Piles have been going into the ground now for a whole year, protected by walls. But even with this sturdy underpinning, how can these buildings be designed to withstand severe earthquakes? The answer lies in the flexibility of this steel. Each piece of steel is custom made for a specific location. As they are assembled, the welds are checked meticulously. In a system widely used for strength and flexibility in Taiwan, these box columns are hollow, but to increase their strength, the cavities inside them are filled with 4.5 tons of cement. And the exterior is clad in 10 centimeters of high-strength concrete.
钢构它是属于比较软的部分，所以它里面必须填充1万磅的部分去做一个补充材，它的强度必须要达到那个地震力耐7级的地震。
The columns and beams are assembled in such a way as to maintain integrity and dissipate energy from any seismic event or strong typhoon winds, themselves an additional force to contend with in Taiwan.
所以世界明珠的结构设计采用高韧性接头，能有效消散地震能量，并降低结构在大地震时候的反应。
The energy is dissipated through 800 braces woven between the beams and columns of the structure. The internal materials of the braces absorb seismic energy when nature strikes.
结层的部分是让房子整个刚性更好，不会有过度的摇晃。
With foundations and a skeleton like these, the Global One isn't going anywhere. Even in the case of the most severe earthquakes, the priority is always the safety of the residents. Even so, earthquakes will cause the building to shake, which can be terrifying for the people inside. So, the designers are finding ways to minimize the building's movement. They do this through nearly 800 special units in the wall. They're designed to reduce the amount the buildings will sway in strong winds and earthquakes, damping down any oscillations and making the buildings feel more secure to the people inside. With these dampers absorbing the motion caused by an earthquake, the building should feel more stable if the worst happens. But of course, just like the piles earlier, the damper structures have to be tested. Nothing will be left to chance when it comes to safety. So the team have to set up their own testing lab at the National Center for Research on Earthquake Engineering.
现场的一些执行，大概都会先试做样品，让他确认这个所有的一些工序、工法，甚至它的品质没有问题，后续才会再来施作。
我们的制震力，它的规格就是一片就是50吨，所以我们跟规格是100吨，就是2片一起，就是2片夹在一起。那它的构造很简单，就是3块钢板去夹住2片日本的特殊配方的高阻尼橡胶。那当地震来的时候，梁跟梁之间会错位，拉成这个高阻尼橡胶来吸收地震的量，把它转换成克数，把它吸收下来。3、2、1，开始。
The test oscillates the structure, putting it under strain. The high damping rubber energy absorbers are tested, literally to the breaking point.
分析结果显示呢，在中度地震作用下，制震器所吸收的能量呢，大概是地震输入能量的10%到15%之间。那住宅栋的屋顶最大加速度呢，大概可以下降10%。
This kind of damping system is an added benefit built into the Global One. It's more commonly used in the high-rises in Taipei's central business district. But if people are going to live in the Global One, they're going to need to know that their building has been subjected to tests like these. The Global One receives a safety rating up to the intensity at which nuclear power plants have to be shut down. It's a greater rating than even teaching hospitals, among Taiwan's most protected buildings. The engineers are determined to make the Global One last.
任何东西要就要做最好的，要做世界级的。然后要做100年的建筑，它就是要做世界第一村。
But if it's going to achieve these objectives, it's going to have to withstand more than just epic-ending earthquakes. Every year, Taiwan is threatened by typhoons. On average, the island suffers 4 every year. These can bring more rainfall in a day than the UK receives in 2 years.
那也有一些研究发现呢，在老化的未来呢，其实这个比较降水系统呢，会从山坡上呢往城市里面移动，所以你发生强降雨就要变大。
The Global One will have to withstand these storms as well as earthquakes. But is this even possible for tall steel and glass buildings? Time for more tests. This hangar is where some of Taiwan's worst weather can be simulated. The Global One will have to be strong enough to resist Category 17 winds with speeds up to 220 kilometers per hour. This is a strength equivalent to standing behind a jet engine at full throttle. It's the strongest wind possible beyond the power of any normal typhoon.
我们是将现场以后用的材料、以后用的那个工法，全部完整的呈现在一个试体上面。我们会经过几道的考验，就是第一个是测气密的性能，那再来就是水密，然后再来就是结构的性能、地震位移的那个性能。
It's a tame typhoon being directed at the Global One's wall system. Can it take the pressure of all this wind and rain?
气密测试。边这显示舱内的压力，单位是帕。那右边这个是通气量，单位是立方公尺每小时。
High-speed fans and walls of water blast the construct. The test typhoon has been unleashed. Every part of the rig is monitored. The engineers scramble. There is a leak.
A 上面下来的嘛，因为 A 上面下来的。先挖开来，然后查看一下里面仓库的状况。那淤积的部分的话，是它那个在下端的地方没有封得很好。从里到这边切开之后，由那个封舱的一个透明板，以螺丝固定，然后再以细胶去做一个压胶锁固，然后在外面再封一圈，然后来确保它的水密性。
For now, the engineers fix the leak quickly with silicone sealant. A new test is successful. The flaw has been discovered in time. The wall units will be adapted.
就这个三角形的这个平台啊，可以动，用那个油压杆去推我要的位移。
And there's one more test. The force of an earthquake mostly hits sideways. Can the walls flex with it without being damaged?
原点第一次结束，接下来进行第二次。20、30。
It's a success first time around. Once the construction has been fully tested, the window units can be fitted onto the building. They're 2 centimeters thick, enough to keep out even the worst rain, wind, and noise.
在这国家标准的基础上，我们再增加一些我们因为目前极端气候的变迁所要求的更高标，豪大雨，所以说我们比国家的标准再高出30%。
This means that windows in the residential buildings are in fact 4 centimeters thick for extra resilience. The windows contain many layers: tempered glass, explosion-proof coatings, another layer of tempered glass, another coating, a gas layer, and one more layer of tempered glass.
玻璃就要用到4公分的厚度，才能去抗17级的强风。
The main windows in each apartment measure around 6 by 2 meters. They are not only huge, but they are heavy, almost a ton each. Getting them in place is going to take weeks. 20 workers needed 2 hours to just get one of these windows fitted. There are going to be 46 of these, and 500 more panoramic windows of almost comparable size.
屋顶我们先设置一个临时的卷扬机，然后再搭配地面的吊车，我们先将玻璃从1楼吊放3楼的平台，那再利用鹰架跟结构体中间这个30公分左右的空隙，缓慢吊升上去的时候，因为怕玻璃会碰到鹰架什么，会有一些碰撞、缺角或刮伤问题，所以我们都会沿途都有人去控管。
来，放喽，
那当吊到我们当楼层的时候，我们就用这个进口的大型吸盘把玻璃吸住，然后再放到我们的铝窗上面。很怕它碰撞，因为它从下单生产到运到工地超过3个月。我如果破1块的话，我整个生产流程都会打乱，我整个施工的节奏会被打乱。所以，当完成这个工作的时候，我们觉得我们自己也好像完成一个不可能的任务，大家的心里都非常的喜悦，那也松了一口气。
The glass is just one of the main features of the Global One, but the rest of the exterior needs to look just as good. And that means more challenging materials. The Global One, a huge new building complex in one of Taipei's former industrial zones, features a monumental amount of glass on its exterior. The rest of the building is concrete, and this needs to be covered. Taiwan's buildings are often clad with many thousands of tiles, but these are essentially just stuck on, and over time can become detached, looking ugly, and causing a real danger to anyone below. So instead, the Global One will be clad with another premium material, granite. The granite slabs are large and heavy. Should one fall off, well, it would cause a lot more damage than a simple tile.
外墙石材哦，目前我们整个工地事实上这个量体非常的大，有145万多材，重量一片最重达到450公斤哦，所以要克服这个问题，在混凝土还没有灌浆之前，在钢柱上面，我们就会先植这个喜得丁的这个螺旋螺栓哦，预埋件，然后这个在表面上再来做这个配筋补强，然后再来灌这个10公分的这个包覆混凝土。安装石材的时候，把这个在钢构上面的铁件再跟骨架系统来做连接，确保在强风强震的时候它是没有问题。
The way they are anchoring the stone cladding means their weight is transferred to the inner steel frame, and from there to the main body of the building. The cladding becomes part of the actual structure, not just a covering, and cannot be prized off by high winds.
传统的石材它是打胶、打细粒康，它会有垂流，久了以后有垂流、细粒康老化的现象，所以我们完全采空缝。那采空缝先决条件，我们整栋外墙都有做很好的防水测试、防水涂膜。那我们的空缝另外一个好处是，当我们这个超高层大楼地震产生变位的时候，我这6 mm 的空隙可以消弭它变位量，让石材两个不会互相去拉扯、去碰撞，去产生一个龟裂或掉落的现象。
A building is more than just its fabric. A constant power supply is vital. The Global One has 2 main power supplies, so if one is damaged in a seismic event, the other will hopefully remain intact. And should the worst happen and both are put out of action, the building has 2 power supplies of its own.
消防的是2台1500 kW 的发电机是在 B1， 那就是万一说在停电的时候，它会自动转成发电系统，然后去供应我们整栋大楼的维生的消防设备，适时的供应电源，不会让影响到住户的生活品质。发电机容量是至少可以让它在8小时以内，这些运转都没有问题的。
A defining feature of our time has been the global COVID pandemic. There are always concerns when people are living in close proximity with shared resources. Some experts even fear there will be a major epidemic every 10 to 15 years. The Global One is designed with systems to minimize the spread of an outbreak of airborne disease.
我们是用单独的管道间去克服这些病毒，在每一户都有固定的施气阀，让它的空气是可以出去，但是不会进来，让病毒是可以排到管道间，直接排到我们的阀机里面。但是其他楼层的病毒它不会经过管道间，然后爬到当层的住户里面。
Each home has its own aircon system. A heat exchanger brings in air from outside and expels stale air. But the heat energy in the warm air is captured on its way out to reduce the load on the system. Interior materials have also been considered very carefully. Paints are all non-toxic and lead-free. Everything has to be hypoallergenic to keep the people inside comfortable. Even the cabling has been carefully selected.
我们用这种无烟无卤的电线，当真的碰到火灾的时候，它不会产生浓烟，然后它也不会助燃。它几乎把一些传统电线可能产生的问题全部克服掉了，但相对它也非常的贵。那这些都是我们对客户所做的承诺，跟我们对生命的尊重及保护。
Water and waste pipes are all made from stainless steel to ensure they're strong and will last a long time in top condition.
所以我们所有的线槽、所有的水管，不管是今天是水管、电管，我们全部都是会用不锈钢的材质来制作。包括我们有一个最厉害的，一般的住宅的水箱都是用 RC 建造，里面是贴瓷砖。我们这边所有的水箱都是用不锈钢的水箱体，表面是最容易清洗，在清水塔的时候是最容易把杂质清掉，也是最干净的。
Of course, none of all of these safety measures are worth anything if the Global One is not actually a nice place to live. And that's what one dedicated part of the team has been looking at. The Global One is going up as part of the regeneration of Nangong, a former industrial zone in Taipei. It's a huge mixed-use complex, and the vision is to make it one of the best places to live. With so many residences and offices over an area of 30,000 square meters, there needs to be a lot of planning to get everything just right. Major public projects often use a system called Building Information Modeling, or BIM. So that's what they're using here. The whole complex is simulated in a vast computer model, so any errors or inefficiencies can be spotted before they're built in.
导入BIM当然它最大的一个功能就是整合的一个功能。大家可以透过这个3D 的一个模型，我在界面的这个检讨上面，大家可以来做一个很好的一个沟通的一个工具。
比如说这个是帷幕嘛，然后还有一些不同的厂商，玻璃的厂商、栏杆的厂商、包板的厂商这些的，如果可以就是全部一起讨论，然后在这个相同的平台下，在同一个情境下知道相关的先后顺序的话，实际上就是整体上帮助都很大。
我拿2D 图面配合BIM，更可以了解我这个以后完成的一个原貌是怎么样。
需要考虑、需要顾虑什么东西，都可以在这前面把相关的问题预先的发现。那对于整体的工程上的品质来说的话，也会很有帮助。
A separate climate simulation system has been used to work out how to keep all the apartments comfortable at a pleasant, even temperature, which isn't always easy in the hot sun of Taiwan. And within a steel and glass building, you can, of course, use aircon, but it's expensive and no good for the environment. So at the Global One, they're introducing a special sun tracker.
那我们是利用双层的帷幕墙，我们帷幕墙总共有30公分。那在2个帷幕墙中间，我们设置了电动百叶。在屋顶的气象站，它会把四面的气象的数值原本传输到中控室里面，然后它去结合太阳的角度，百叶在太阳变化的时候，它会自动的去遮住太阳的光，让百叶自动去摆放，然后这个角度可以把太阳的光挡住，然后又维持室内的光度，那做到节能一个效果。
It's widely known that people feel better when they're surrounded by nature, so the developers are bringing nature into the Global One. Nearly 70% of the ground area will be covered in plants, with a double row of autumn maple trees on the first floor, and a garden with more than 600 trees on the third floor. This will also help keep the environment cool and save energy.
我们需要它有一个比较清凉舒适的感觉，所以我们设计了水瀑，4米半的瀑布，它的石头重量，它的一些配重重量，它的水的重量是一个很大的课题。
针对这个水幕墙的结构的重量，要怎么样去符合它设计上的要求？我们跟结构技师这边来来回回，总共讨论了1个半月以后才定型。
下来外面，所以你等于这边要挡水，对，那边要水要挡起来，这段挡。
Of course, all this water, soil, and green mass is very heavy. The engineers have to take all this additional weight into account in the design.
里面是空的，弄点水，让它那个不要有空隙在里面。
我们先以每平方2吨的重量来设计我们的结构。一般在公共建筑，楼板最多载重也是到500公斤左右。我们在瀑布的部分跟水域的部分，我们甚至提升到3吨。在2楼的部分，我们的梁就排得非常的密。
All in all, the green areas at the Global One cover over 8,000 square meters and reach all the way to the nearby mountains. It's designed to connect the people that live here with the natural environment beyond.
需要住在森林里面，说山中有林，林中有屋啊，这种的期望。
我们种一些牡丹、茶树、马缨丹这些东西，山茶花比较能够诱蝶的那种植栽。然后幼鸟的部分，我们有种一些果树，我们有荔枝、杨梅、树葡萄这些，就是吸引鸟类来这边采撷。那这些营造出来一个自然共生一个环境。
什么叫做住宅？你要住得很安心啊，你要睡得着觉啊，你很喜欢在家里啊，对不对？你看出去都觉得很舒服啊，能让你的心情放松，然后再准备第2天来上班或是去做事啊。
One of the last elements to go into the new Global One complex in Taipei is about to be fitted. The craftsmen are putting the final touches to a set of bronze gates. As the first thing anyone will see as they enter the complex, they have to be just right.
大门的话，它单扇是3吨，那组起来会到6、7吨以上，所以它是非常的重。所以在结构上面，我们都有做过结构计算、风压测试。
这个扩造水加管拢不一样。
表面处理的颜色的部分，希望把叶子跟边框改成稍微暗褐色的方式，让它感觉跳脱出来有渐层，让这个大门看起来不会太单调、太死板。我们会做一面先做起来看看，然后再继续调整让他们满意这样子。
大门大概就有12米，那高度大概5米多。工厂制作完成到台湾之后，事实上在工厂这边也会做一些假阻力，来确认吊装是没有问题。我们这个尺寸，这个要运送到工地，事实上一般的拖板车可能都是困难。
The gates are ready to go, but they are too big to get through the factory gates lying flat. And if placed vertically, they will collide with streetlights and other obstacles en route. So a special frame has to be constructed to hold the massive gates on a slant. Nonetheless, the gate only just clears the road signs as it travels. As the gates are being fitted, the team can look back on the challenges they encountered during construction.
这么大的量体，那这么高规格的这个设计条件之下，能够不要延误工期，如期安全，这个品质没有问题下把它完成，每一天事实上都是一个挑战。
后面来的时候是刚好是在我们基桩做完成以后，紧接做结构体。那所有的施工人员都是非常的紧绷，我不能让工地停摆，那也不能让工进落后。高峰期我们的施工人员还能有1000个，其实这是很不容易的。
南港已经不是台北的南港，是世界的南港。大家共同的理念就要盖好它。
It's a reminder of Nangang's long industrial heritage, while at the same time marking the beginning of a new era. Chairman Lin, the driving force behind the project, sees the Global One as the symbol of a new forward-looking Nangang. This should be his legacy. When people think of Nangang, they should think of the Global One and home.
我坚持，无形的价值就是最大的价值。我告诉团队，也就让老本任性如此吧。
It's these ideals that have been built into the very fabric of the Global One.
林董当然希望他设计他的东西是独一无二的，而且要最好，所以这个是给我们很大的动力跟压力了。
你只要帮我盖成世界第一寸，你只要负责帮我选最好的建材，其他你都不用管，钱的部分我来处理。就让我非常的感动，怎么会有这么好的老板？
那我记得有一次在开会中，市长也是在说他最主要他的产品要让客户去感动，能够让客户去感动，他就成功了。
因为建筑物是100年了，以后他的祖祖孙孙到现场来都知道说这个是我做的，这个是他们的荣幸。大概他们的努力就是为之这一点。
世界名师是令人向往居住的地方，住进世界名师之后，会让你生活不一样。